Hurricane Ian is and will continue to be a very dangerous and life-threatening storm.
Whoa.
Winds whipping through palm trees, debris flying and water creeping through city streets. Hurricane Ian makes landfall on the Gulf Coast of Florida at Category 4 strength. Wind speeds are reaching 155 miles per hour, just 2 miles shy of being Category 5.
This is a powerful storm that should be treated like you would treat if a tornado was approaching your home.
The amount of damage the storm will cause remains unknown, but officials say it will be catastrophic.
We'll be there to help you clean up and rebuild, to help you get Florida get moving again. And we'll be there at every step of the way.
And a live look at Orlando, one of the many cities in the direct path of Ian. And this monster hurricane just slamming into the west coast of Florida shortly after 3 p.m. Eastern time. It now comes with concerns of storm surges and massive rainfall as well.
So far, the Category 4 hurricane has knocked out power to 1.5 million people. We have a lot of news to get to here on the News at 5. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Rose.
And I'm Jamie Tompkins. We have team coverage tonight. Our weather team, Lisa Villegas and Aaron Mayovsky, are tracking the storm's path. But first, we head to Madeline Rivera, who joins us live from Florida. Madeline, set the scene for us.
Hey, David and Jamie. We had to step into this little alcove here because the rain was just unforgiving. We were out there for hours. The rain was just pelting you. The wind just wouldn't stop blowing, which is what we had expected. That's what forecasters had predicted. Tampa is expected to see between 18 to 20 inches of rain, a storm surge of about 4 to 6 feet, and that's not even the worst of what the state could see. Hurricane Ian barreling down on southwest Florida Wednesday afternoon. At times, damaging winds topping 150 miles per hour knocked out power for hundreds of thousands of people. On Sanibel Island, gusts pushed a devastating storm surge as Ian moved ashore.
The safest thing to do is to find an interior portion of your home without windows, hunker down in that area, away from what could be windborne debris.
Ian will slowly trek across the Florida peninsula, dumping more than a foot of rain over parts of Tampa, Jacksonville, and Orlando. Forecasters say by the time this hurricane leaves, parts of the coast could see storm surge reach 18 feet. People here have prepared for the worst.
I've been here 45 years, and this is the first time I left for a storm. The water just really scared me, and as well as the path.
The rest of the day we're in. We're not going to be out again until probably Friday.
Some emergency response teams paused service as the weather intensified. Florida officials say crews will deploy as soon as conditions allow.
We do have some people who've chosen to hunker down in some very vulnerable areas, and so that is going to be something that I know that they're keeping a very close eye on.
And David and Jamie, we are in downtown Tampa, which is usually a pretty busy area. But as you can see behind me, it's pretty clear right now. About 3 million people in the state were under evacuation orders. And as you guys heard off the top, there are more than 1 million people without power right now. And 42,000 linemen are ready in Florida, ready to respond to those power outages once it is safe to do so, of course. David and Jamie.
All right, Maddie, thank you. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when the sun comes up what kind of damage is there as they are in the midst of this right now. Our weather team, Lisa Villegas, our chief meteorologist, is tracking the storm. Aaron Mayovsky here looking at all the situation as well. So let's talk about the winds right now. How strong are they for people who stayed and decided to hunker down and ride it out?
Yeah, which is really tough to imagine that you could do that. But 115 miles an hour. So this is just weakened over the last 10 minutes here. In fact, over the last hour, we've watched this drop from a Category 4 to a Category 3 hurricane. So it continues to weaken. So that's the good news. I also have this time-lapse video here. You can see this stationary front. What's unique about this is it's just going to sandwich in all of this moisture. So now we're going to be concerned with all the rain that's going to accumulate from areas just outside of Cape Coral, in between Tampa, stretching through Orlando as it tracks out towards Daytona Beach, Florida. So we're talking about rain totals possibly even exceeding 20 inches now because of this system kind of sandwiching in all of that moisture. Storm surge, by the way, ranging from 12 to 18 feet. Take a look at the wind speeds right now. Gusts up to and exceeding 60 miles an an hour from Tampa all the way to Sarasota. You can see winds up to 74 miles an hour right now, getting closer to that eye, which again is still up to 115 miles per hour. I spent 4 years in Florida, have never seen a storm like this. Aaron, you spent some time there. Have you ever seen anything like this before?
No, in fact, we were just talking about that. 3 years there and maybe a tropical depression and some heavy rain at times. And it is a different type of heavy rain when it does rain there. And we know that comparatively to the Pacific Northwest. But this is something we're going to be watching for days to come. As we watch our forecast, as we look through and move right back across the middle portion of the country, very quiet. We see a few showers over the desert and up through Salt Lake and moving into the Pacific Northwest with a weak little low pressure system that's come through. It's kept our temperatures down today, and it's pushed a little bit of rain on the southwest Washington coast, at least for the most part. That will continue to climb up the I-5 corridor, but we really haven't seen a ton of rain in the Seattle area. PL, you're just getting out of the back edge of that deeper cell. The good news is we're staying in the good zone for air quality, at least west of the Cascades, east of the Cascades. Very unhealthy for some to moderate in Chelan County and Okanagan counties. That will clear out tomorrow. As we look at our surface maps, we can definitely see that we get some sort of improvement. Today, unofficially, right around the low 60s. Tomorrow, we are shooting for the low 70s, above average temperatures. Right now, you can see the cooler temperatures through the Strait and the islands, 59 for Friday Harbor, but 65 for Seattle. So it looks like that high will bounce up. And again, here's some of the shower activity that we could see into the overnight hours. Not a ton. And as we get rolling tomorrow, we'll see temperatures out of the gate at 56 degrees. That's warmer than average. And again, our daytime highs, upper 60s to low 70s. The extended forecast is coming your way, along with more storm coverage in a bit.
Hurricane Ian may go down as one of the strongest storms to ever strike the U.S. There are only 4 other recorded hurricanes in U.S. history that topped winds of 155 miles per hour. The strongest were from the Labor Day hurricane in 1935, when wind speeds reached 185 miles per hour on the Florida Keys.
Relief organizations here in Puget Sound are preparing to send help to Florida right now. Here's a look at the supplies World Vision is putting together. You can see water, food, protection kits, diapers, clothing, even tents and canopies, because there might not be shelter operating near people whose homes are destroyed.
Not knowing what's happening next, being displaced, not having enough food, not having enough water, not having a place over their head. They're dealing with the kids. They're dealing with total loss for some of them. Family photos that mean so much to them. You know, they no longer have those items anymore. And so you see the long lines of people waiting to get something, you know, to get anything. I mean, massive lines. It's really sad.
You can go to fox13seattle.com/links to learn more about how you can help. Hurricane Ian has made landfall on Florida's Gulf Coast as a Category 4 storm. Top winds reached 155 miles per hour this morning, just 2 miles shy of being Category 5 strength. This is a live look of the storm on the ground from there.
Here's a different perspective of Ian from space. Cameras on the International Space Station taking this photo showing the sheer magnitude, the large storm. Hurricane Ian, just a monster, Category 4 strength. They only go to Category 5 when they measure them, so you can tell how strong that is and how damaging it is. And here is a look at some of the latest video into our newsroom. The Lee County Sheriff's Office sharing it, saying an outreach center on Fort Myers Beach was washed away in the storm surge. Massive damage happening in just the last several hours.
Many of us have family and friends in Florida, which makes it just that much scarier, right?
Yeah, and on the phone right now with me, Jamie, is a friend of mine, Susan York. She is from Kirkland, who chose to go down to visit family and go on vacation in Florida in Cape Coral. Probably had no idea that Ian was going to be threatening their vacation and their very lives. Susan, how are you all doing right now, and what have you seen over the last couple of hours?
Well, it's been an exciting ride. It's been very interesting. About 10:50, we received a warning to take shelter. And I wasn't quite sure what that meant, and so we waited. About 12:26, it sounded like fast-moving, loud trains were coming at us nonstop. And then shortly after that, we lost power. About 2 o'clock, we have storm shutters on all the windows. And so the only way that we can see out is through a glass door. And we noticed a porta potty was in our yard, and it was going down our yard, and then it eventually went into the street. And then about about 4:10, I think it was, round one started slowing down. And it's my understanding, David, we have round one, and then the eye of the storm will go over. There'll be a calm, and then it will come back in the opposite way for round two. And our concern is we live across the street from a canal, and so we're very, very nervous about the storm surge.
Susan, as David said, you're just visiting the area, right? How did you guys even prepare for this?
Well, the girls, my daughters, were fully prepared. They had water, food. We filled the tub with water. We have a generator, but we can't put that out until the winds die down. And I don't know if you can hear the banging, the sound. It's just nonstop. It sounds like you're under a train track. So there's food, and then once we're safe enough to put out the generator, and by the way, the neighbor across the way lost a boat, and a neighbor two doors down from him lost a boat. So it's pretty, I'm not going to lie, it's horrific, it's scary, but I'm a woman of faith, and so I chose to lean into that.
Yeah, that is really important right now. We're getting reports that south of you, there are some burst pipes. There are 1.6 million people without power. Do you have power right now? Do you feel safe where you're at right now, given that the storm surge could be 10 to 15 feet through the next couple of hours overnight?
Yeah, we don't have power. And so we're watching it. We're a little bit higher than the neighbor across the street. And that has kind of been really stressful for all of us at different levels. We have to decide what we're going to do. We thought about bringing down the ladder from the garage and climbing up into the garage. But, we don't have power, so we have no AC. And it was 90 degrees to the 88 degrees, I think it was getting up to. But, yeah, it is. It's scary. I've never been in anything like this.
Yeah, we're certainly not used to these kinds of things in Washington State. Susan York, all of us will be praying for you. We know you'll come through this strong. We appreciate you and continue to keep us updated on your progress so we can share with our viewers that you're doing okay. And we hope you make it through the night well with you and your daughters.
Back October 9th.
You got it.
Okay. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Susan. So let's go to Lisa and Aaron. I want to talk because Lisa and I, before the broadcast, we were discussing the storm surge, which I think a lot of people may not be familiar with. So, Lisa, if you could tell us about the dangers that those pose and what they're looking at.
This is Fox 13 News at 6.
This could be the deadliest hurricane in Florida's history. The numbers are still unclear, but we're hearing early reports of what may be substantial loss of life.
The destruction is widespread. Ian's landfall as a Category 4 hurricane has devastated Florida from the coast of Fort Myers to the central city of Gainesville.
This was such a major weather event that it's producing 500-year floods.
Homes are flooded, roads and bridges are washed out, and dozens of people are being rescued as people begin to return to their homes.
I'm getting important stuff, my paperwork, my husband's personal things. Because I lost him 2 months ago, and now I've lost my only home. So I'm packing it up.
Now, the storm sets its eye on new targets to the north.
We've got a lot to get to on this busy Thursday afternoon, so thank you for joining us for the news at 6. I'm Jamie Tompkins.
And I'm Hannah Kim. We have team coverage. The Fox 13 weather team is tracking the path of the storm. Caroline Elliott is near Jacksonville, where the storm is about to slam more communities.
But first, we head to Madeline Rivera in the most devastated area, Fort Myers. Madeline, what's the latest we know so far on this devastation?
Hannah and Jamie, the city of Fort Myers is now quiet. The city is under a curfew, and this is for safety reasons and to allow emergency personnel to do their work without any interruptions. And Governor Ron DeSantis says relief and recovery efforts will be a 24/7 operation.
I'm in awe over such destruction. It just is horrible here.
Ian carving a path of destruction along Florida's Gulf Coast after making landfall Wednesday as a Category 4 hurricane. Now millions remain without power in Florida as search and rescue efforts are underway to help those who did not make it out in time.
If you need to be evacuated, step out of your front door.
FEMA calling the damage in areas like Fort Myers catastrophic, with President Biden saying Ian could be the deadliest storm in Florida's history. The president approving a major disaster declaration for Florida, freeing up aid for recovery efforts.
The federal government will cover 100% of the cost to clear debris and for all the costs that the state has to engage in and expend to save lives.
And as the storm makes its way out of the state, Central Florida has been slammed with flooding rains. Meanwhile, Ian regaining hurricane strength ahead of its second landfall along the Georgia and Carolina coastlines. People there preparing for life-threatening storm surges, flooding, and high winds.
Be weather aware of that and to take precautions now to keep you and your family safe.
And help is coming in from all around the country. A Florida disaster fund has been set up to help the victims, and about $2 million have been raised so far. Hannah and Jamie.
Madeline Rivera, thank you. We now turn to Fox's Caroline Elliott live in Atlantic Beach near Jacksonville.
That is where Ian is heading next. So what are you seeing right now? We do see the trees behind you moving a lot. So what can you tell us?
Well, we are expecting for conditions to get even worse tonight as Hurricane Ian is directly off the coast of Jacksonville in just 1 hour from now. Of course, the biggest concern tonight is storm surge and the potential for flooding. We are starting to see some reports of St. Johns River beginning to flood in this area. So again, still a lot of concerns tonight. We know that in the south from us, about 2 hours south from us, cities like St. Augustine did see flooding earlier, as well as cities like Daytona Beach seeing a lot of damage from Hurricane Ian as well. Of course, tonight, rescue crews in Jacksonville are on standby, ready to respond, as well as many federal resources in this area still bracing for the worst to come. Guys.
And Caroline, I'm sure you've talked to people out there. For those who have chosen not to evacuate, how are they preparing for this situation?
Well, we do know that the city has not ordered evacuations at this point, but really, we haven't talked to a lot of people in this area because this area looks like a ghost town today. We've been out here since about 8 a.m. and since then, we've only seen a handful of people walking outside, checking on conditions. Of course, when a storm comes through in Florida, you see a lot of curious people wanting to see what it looks like outside. That's not the case right now. Of course, after we saw those images from Fort Myers, from Naples, I think it put a lot of things into perspective for people who live here. So you'll see people really not taking those chances tonight.
That's good to hear, Caroline. Thank you for being out there. Let's go to our Fox 13 weather team now. Obviously, it was tropical storm status a little bit ago, and then now it's back to hurricane. It is a very fluid situation, Lisa.
Absolutely. And so right now, Hurricane Ian is out in the Atlantic. So obviously, we still have the potential for it to continue to strengthen. Right now, wind speeds up to around 75 miles per hour. You can see all that rain on the northern half of the system, and that's pretty much what we've seen throughout the last couple of days. So watching for that rain total to add up. Right now we have all kinds of tropical storm warnings highlighted in the orange, hurricane warnings highlighted in the pink, which includes South Carolina. So there it is, wind speeds up to 75 miles per hour, slowly moving north-northeast at around 10 miles an hour. So should make landfall right in between Savannah, Myrtle Beach, heading towards Charleston. Looks like it has shifted a little bit further north here, but notice all that rain on the northern half. So again, watching for those rain totals to add up. The wind speeds already kicking up, and it should make a direct line into Charlotte as it weakens into a low pressure system, and then it continues on its path up north towards areas like Pittsburgh, even DC, seeing some of the rain from this system. We're talking about 5 to 10 inches at the very least. Aaron, we're still seeing winds gusting up to around 60 to 70 miles an hour when it comes to portions of Florida, but watching for that to head and impact the Carolinas.
Yeah, Lisa, it's just amazing the reach of this. And like we heard in the earlier reports out in Atlantic City, people are heeding the warning because they've seen what's happened with this hurricane move through the Florida area. So we'll be tracking this tonight, but we're also tracking our own weather here at home that is very quiet and benign compared to what you're dealing with. We had some showers yesterday. That low is scooted off to the east, and high pressure is going to start to build in and give us some strength as far as temperatures and warmth go. Air quality today looking just fine west of the Cascades. This is tomorrow's outlook. We could see some unhealthy for sensitive groups as we roll through the weekend with the drier and warmer conditions, but just gorgeous right now as we look at Pierce County, the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. Light traffic, a few people out there. We're seeing some high, thin clouds. 66 degrees today, unofficially about 71 degrees. Normal for fall is 67 this time of year, and we're lacking on the rain. We did pick up a little bit yesterday, but we're seeing those temperatures 59 out on the coast, 68 inland, and our temperatures and wind speeds very comparable. Just a calm, nice day out there as we roll through. 67 at kickoff, or I should say first pitch, not kickoff, for T-Mobile Park. The M's and Rangers go at it. We'll have a beautiful sunset tonight at 6:52. We'll have the 7-day forecast. Guys, we're talking about 80-degree temperatures coming our way.
Wow, thank you, Erin. Tonight, we are just learning that the Washington National Guard has been activated to assist with recovery efforts. The team is from Fairchild Air Force Base. According to the Washington National Guard, they will bring communications and internet capabilities through SpaceX's Starlink satellite to help people in Florida dealing with Hurricane Ian.
And we'll continue to track Ian throughout the night with more coverage coming up at the half hour. Just head to fox13seattle.com for more coverage and download the Fox 13 News app to have the latest breaking news updates sent directly to your phone.